Welcome everyone. My name's Steve Elliott. I'm the Managing Director here at LexisNexis Risk Solutions, and I'm joined today by Tony Sales. Tony is a reformed fraudster. He's joined us today to give us some of his experiences committing fraud in the past, but also to share his insight in terms of what those risks may mean now in our current COVID environment.
So, my name is Tony Sales. I was branded as Britain's greatest fraudster by the Sun newspaper. It's not something I'm at all proud of, and I was young and foolish when I got involved in a life of crime. Nowadays, I help businesses fight back against the type of crimes and frauds that I used to commit on a daily basis, which ranges from, as a child at 12 years old, I'd be going door to door, doing sponsorship forms, ranging all the way up to mortgage fraud for organised crime much later on in life.
We've witnessed regulators, firms, law enforcement put considerable cost, time and effort into fighting fraud. So why is it, given all the effort that's gone into fighting fraud, that you think the markets may still be vulnerable to fraud?
I mean, when I first started, it was the greed of the market. You could feel the greed from many of the financial institutions around the world wanting to onboard as many customers, clients as they possibly could. And so those commissions passed their way down. So in most of the scams that I done when I was younger, we always played on that side of things. And the rules get set lower when onboarding and when new things come around, when everyone's offering new stuff, just like now, everyone's willing to just lower that and just accept a little bit more risk.
We're currently seeing a huge amount of disruption as a result of COVID-19. Do you think that disruption is creating new opportunities for fraudsters to target the markets?
I think we Fight Fraud, we've just completed a study where we've actually been surveying the dark web and surface web and physical crimes going on, so our network we can tap into and we can hear the latest stuff that's happening on the street. So we was able to start talking about fake NHS IDs that were being duplicated and people using drug runners and drug traffickers using those to get travel around the country. That intel and that information that we gather very quickly is very important. And we saw that up to 80% fraud and cybercrime has increased, especially online, because there's so much, the opportunities are vast.
Many firms have controls in place to enable them to authenticate who people are, to give them confidence when they're doing business with those individuals. As a reformed fraudster, do you find those controls easy to bypass?
So, the problem is with controls, once you understand them, they're always looking for a pattern. So I'll give them that pattern and then I'll create something else that they don't spot. And that's how you bypass it. And then you can create multiple stacks of that. By knowing that, I kind of had this conversation with someone yesterday about someone was saying about being able to block profiles from social media sites, so fake profiles, being able to block them. And I said, well, I've got some that I've had for 10 years. How are you going to block them? And they were kind of like, what? I said, well, yeah, I've got them on the electoral. They've got everything that they need. They're ghosts. Why wouldn't I have that as a fraudster? And, it's just the vulnerabilities. The system can only be as good as the information that it's got.
Firms are reliant on people to design their anti-fraud controls, but those people have different experiences themselves. Do you think firms have sufficient real-world experience, and do you think they utilise that when they're designing their controls?
I'll tell you, that is an absolutely brilliant question. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So I noticed ages ago, actually, that when a company takes on board a company to take over these controls, that they have to set the parameters, which means that they would have to be an expert in all types of crime and criminality, which is just not how it is. And so, I think they really don't understand how they set those parameters. And 9 times out of 10, they're not willing to pay the right people to come in that can actually set those parameters.
When you're thinking of targeting a firm for fraud, what made you select a particular market or firm for that fraud?
It was the company. So I would find the chink in the armour. So, for instance, I was hitting for a while, right? It's because I understood that at that time were not digital. They didn't have a digital platform. And as long as I used to be able to hit them on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, they wouldn't receive the paperwork until the Monday morning.
Did you share information about vulnerable firms with your fellow fraudsters?
Yeah, of course. And because I've been saying it for years, what criminals do is share information at the speed of light. If you're in on that circle, yeah, you'll get that information quicker because we all want to see each other succeed. And everyone knows when the fraud controls drop. Yeah, everyone knows when they're switched off. Everyone knows when no one ain't paying them fees that they need to pay because they want to save a few quid this month. Yeah, everyone knows that. There's many entrepreneurs in the criminal world, and that's just how it works. So,
one of the problems that firms try to deal with is insider fraud. It's long been talked about, and it's been a risk to many organisations. Is it still a risk?
Massively. I think that anyone who's serious that's going to take on systems and really, not the opportunist, not the one that's just passing by that might buy a bin number off of line and do one or two little dodgy moves. Someone who's really serious about committing fraud, yeah, definitely.
If you were helping firms to train their people to fight against fraud, what would you focus on?
We do training, by the way. And so the way that we do it is that we kind of give them the human element. Yeah, we like to give people a site that they just didn't see. Things that the tech's great, right? And tech used in the right way is amazing. And we should all use tech. We should all use as much as we possibly can. But we have to set everything with the right rules and the right parameters in the beginning. And that means using people like me, whether that be me or the many others that are now coming to light in the world and the ones that have been around before me, those insights that are actually available, use them to understand, use how we think,
Given the disruption we're seeing in the markets today, if you were still a fraudster, what sectors, what markets would you target and why?
I think there's a lot of pay-as-you-go credit cards at the moment are extremely vulnerable. I think that they're absolutely open to money laundering. I think in some of the onboarding processes in banking, I think some of the stuff we could do could be devastating to them. So during a test a little while ago, we was testing the onboarding processes and we found a flaw that would have allowed us to open bank accounts at will.
Tony, you've provided some great insights in relation to fraud, but what should firms be doing today to protect themselves?
Training, more training and more controls. So let's say, for instance, the more people that actually understood how to set parameters around fraud systems that they're putting in, if they actually understood what it is that the criminal's going to do, get insights from people like us, go to the training courses. There's not just me, there's others out there as well. And awareness, and raise that awareness to a place where it's never been before. That awareness then gets set into the controls that you guys then put there. It all becomes so much more of a much better place.